This is Nina Wag, a mother of a 13-year-old boy, Amog. Like any other parent, she too wants the best for her child. So why are we talking about her, you may ask? Well, Amog has autism. He is a non-verbal and would probably require lifelong assistance in dealing with the world. This search for the best possible assisted living option has set her off on this journey. So let's see what she finds.
I personally feel that one question looms large over you the minute you come to know that you are a parent of a special need child. One question: what after us? And I wanted to address it head on without beating around the bush. We wanted to check what are the facilities in Delhi or around Delhi, and we came to know about Aparna and her setup. Somebody told me that there is this amazing person who has started a setup called Arunima for a sibling.
This search brought her to Mussoorie, a beautiful hill station in Uttarakhand, also known as the Queen of the Hills. Set amidst the lush green and peaceful environment, Nina found this amazing residential setup called Arunima.
Autism or autism spectrum disorders are a group of disorders which are neurodevelopmental in origin and are defined by 2 or 3 characteristic core features, and those are difficulty or a delay or a disability in language and communication, in social skills development, and also certain stereotypical behaviors that you see in the autism spectrum. Till the longest time, till about maybe a decade ago, it was thought that the prevalence was probably about 2 to 3 per 10,000. However, in the last decade, there's been a lot of research and also a re-looking at the definition and the broader spectrum that is now defined. And in that context, the prevalence is now thought to be about 1%. And some people think it's 1 in 80, which is a huge, huge increase. I mean, 100 times or more than that, perhaps, increase in the prevalence rate. A significant minority of kids who fall within the mild to the moderate to the severe end of the spectrum are disabled socially and in terms of communication, in terms of becoming independent, their self-help skills. And these children will require long-term care, perhaps till the end of their lives.
Just imagine if you are given 3 words and told to deal with the whole world and communicate with it. You cannot imagine the amount of frustration can set in a person. That is autism, and these people live with that limitation 24/7 throughout their lives, which increases the aggression and mood swings in them, and eventually which takes a toll on the family. So that's why, and that is where the role of Arunima comes in.
Arunima means the glow of dawn. And just like the dawn that begins with tiny rays, Project Arunima took off in March 2011 with one pilot venture in Mussoorie. This provided much needed respite, and it also brought hope to the families of 5 young women across the autism spectrum. Aparna Das, an educationist by profession and the elder sibling of Rooney, is the founder of this setup.
We are a family of 4 siblings, and our mother passed away when I was about 15 years old. I had this sister who was 2 at that time, and she was definitely different. My mother had noticed that she was different from all the rest of us because she was the youngest of 4 siblings. It was when she was about 6 years old really, and she was not speaking much at all, and her behaviors were becoming very strange, very unlike other people her age, that we took her to a special school, and that's when she was diagnosed with autism. Now that was about 27 years ago, and you can imagine that her education, even at that time, awareness was really up and down. Our awareness was really, really up and down at that time, and suddenly before we knew it, we had this adult, and there was no school for her anymore. She had outgrown any sort of system that was available for people with autism, and the reality hit us one day that we've got to think about her future. And that's when we started looking for some sort of lifelong solution for Rooney. And after a lot of searching and eventually compromising on what we had set out to find, we decided to try out a center, and it was when I dropped Rooney at the center and walked out of those gates really that I knew that there had to be something in place, something that was more like what I would want for my sister's future. And that was really where the Arunima seed was sown.
Autism has taken long to be diagnosed in different parts of the world, and India is certainly no exception. With recognition and services commencing only about 20 years ago, we have fairly a large population of former children who have now grown into adults. Their parents in turn have grown no younger, and the question, what after us, looms large over each of these families. Initiatives like Arunima have begun to address this question. Research shows that autism is more prevalent among boys than girls, with the current ratio being set at 4:1. In other words, there is one girl with ASD diagnosed for every 4 boys. So, with the growing demand from the parents, a second project was introduced in March 2013 in Dehradun with the inclusion of boys. It has been 6 months now since Nina decided to bring Amog to this center. She is here on her monthly visit. Let's see how Amog reacts.
Each time his reaction is absolutely different. You think that like any normal child, he'll come hugging and saying Mama, and each time there's a different reaction. I'm just going to see how is he going to react. Though he's been told that our Mama is coming. That is the center. Hi, Ammo! Mama, phone दे दो. फोन दे दो. अच्छा पहले पानी दे दो. Molly baby. फोन कहाँ है? शूज पे. शूज पे ना, शूज तो पहने हुए हैं. कहाँ गया ना शूज पहन के? मम्मा आई हम आपसे मिलने. शूज पे. अच्छा चलो. आप पहले चाय पियेंगे.
जब अमोक पहले आया तो उसको नंबर टाइम में दिक्कत होती थी. काउंटिंग तो उसे बढ़िया आती थी, मगर समझ में नहीं आता था कि ये 1 है या 2 है. अगर आवाज़ दो तो रिप्लाई करता था, मगर ऐसे नहीं करता था कि एकदम से आना बिल्कुल भी. अब नंबर टाइम अच्छे से कर लेता है, क्लोथ फोल्डिंग अच्छे से कर लेता है, स्पीच अच्छे से कर लेता है. अमोक की जो कैचिंग पावर है ना, कि अगर किसी चीज़ को समझना हो तो तुरंत समझता है कि हाँ मेरे को क्या बोलना है और क्या नहीं बोलना. स्पीच में हमने कार्ड के साथ स्टार्ट किया था पहले, तो कार्ड में हर चीज़ का नाम तो उसे मालूम था कि मगर क्रिया जो मतलब होता है वो नहीं था पता. तो अभी उसके साथ वो काम चल ही रहा है.
How old was Chavi when she came to you?
Chavi was 11 when she came to us, and it took us some time to decide to take her because we had not intended to take anyone less than 18 years old, and she was our first applicant. There was something about Chavi, and you could see this brightness in her eyes, but she had a body that was pretty much out of control all the time. She would not settle down, and her mother also recognized some potential in her, but could see that her daughter was not making any progress, and she was actually going deeper and deeper into her autistic world.
छवि अरुणिमा का फर्स्ट चाइल्ड इसलिए थी क्योंकि जब मिसेस दास ने मेरे यहाँ छवि को असेस करने आई तो उन्होंने छवि को उस तरीके से एक्सेप्ट करा जिस तरीके से छवि थी. ये जो मिसेस दास का एक एटीट्यूड था कि छवि को जैसी वो है वैसे एक्सेप्ट किया. मैंने ये रिस्क उठाया कि कोई बात नहीं, चाहे अरुणिमा का पहला चाइल्ड है छवि, पर मैं छवि को अरुणिमा में डालूंगी.
स्कूल वालों ने बोला था कि ये स्लो लर्नर है तो इसे आप स्पेशल स्कूल में डालो. वहाँ पे थोड़ा उसका
कोई भी टीचर ना उसको प्रॉपर्ली हैंडल नहीं करता.
हाँ
वो अपने ही पे रहती है. उसको बोला कि अभी इसी टाइम मेरे को वो चीज़ चाहिए, तो जबरदस्ती करती रहती है बात के लिए.
नहीं ऐसे लोगों में
और
जो है.
अच्छा, और बाकी विद्रा करती है, हर चीज़ विद्रा करती है.
अच्छा, अपने में रहती है ज़्यादा,
अपने में रहती है,
मिक्सअप नहीं होती सोशली.
हाँ मतलब इंटरेक्ट बहुत कम इंटरेक्ट करती है. जब उसको हीटिंग प्रॉब्लम शुरू हुई, हीटिंग प्रॉब्लम इतनी बढ़ गई कि उसको ऐसा लगा कि उसके हाथों के ऊपर उसका कंट्रोल नहीं है. अब कंट्रोल नहीं है तो उसको लगता था, कई बार चोट भी लग जाती थी, तो उसने खुद ही अपने हाथ पीछे बांधने शुरू कर दिए. पहले छुपाने शुरू किए, कहीं ढक लेती थी, कुछ करती थी. धीरे धीरे वो फिर उसको बांधने शुरू किया और फिर धीरे धीरे वो जैसे एक एडिक्शन सा बन गया।
एक दिन मिसेस दास मेरे पास आई और उन्होंने बोला कि पूजा, छवि में हमने चेंज देखा है और आप बहुत एक काबिल पेरेंट साबित हुए हो कि ऐसे पेरेंट की जिसको हम जो बोलते हैं वो करता है, तो क्या आप मेरी मदद करोगे कि हम और बच्चों की हेल्प कर सकें। तो मेरे पास कोई सेकंड ऑप्शन ही नहीं था कि मैं ना बोलती, और सवाल ही पैदा नहीं होता, क्योंकि मैंने इस 2 साल में छवि में इतना अंतर देखा था कि छवि अपना नाम ले सकती थी, छवि अपनी मम्मी को पहचानती थी, अपनी ज़रूरत बताने लग गई थी छवि 2 साल में। और मैंने इमीडिएटली मिसेस दास को हाँ कर दी और मैंने उनके साथ अरुणिमा ज्वाइन कर लिया।
I've seen some amazing changes in Amog ever since he is with Arunima. He is much more settled. He is calmer, and there is something about him. He is very self-assured, and he knows what he wants. He is able to express himself more. He used to hate walking. He walks now for 2.5 kilometers every day, and though he has his fair amount of tantrums, but he knows that there is no getting away from something which has to be done. It has to be done. That is the strength of Arunima, that each child is treated as an individual. They are celebrated, all their quirks, their desires, whatever it's looked into. And I'm very happy for Amog that he's doing very well over there.
सबसे बड़ा फर्क तो ये लगा कि वहाँ का एनवायरनमेंट बहुत अच्छा लगा। लिमिटेड बच्चे हैं। सबसे अच्छी बात हमें अपर्णा दास लगी, क्योंकि हमें लगा कि बहुत सिंसियर है और अच्छा, मतलब बहुत बच्चों को अच्छे से हैंडल कर सकती है।
और उसकी जो हाथ बांधने की आदत है ना, वो भी कम एक तरीके से छूट आई।
Amog, Chavi and Neha's mothers have finally found their anchor in Arunima. They are happy that not only are their children being taken care of, but that they are exploring their own potential. Amog with his improved motor functions, Chavi with her communication, Neha now comfortable with her hands untied.
Well, where do I begin? I've lived in India for 32 years. I'm married to an Indian, and we have 3 kids. Our youngest is Moi Moi, and she has special needs. And I started just a school for her many years ago, and then one thing led to another, and now it's a little empire in Dehradun. We have about 108 staff members, and we work with hundreds of children. So I met Aparna when she came down from Woodstock. She was bringing a group of students to tour Karuna Vihar, which is the name of our school. And I found out that she was a special educator, and I immediately started plotting about how I could get her to come and work with us. That never happened, but over the years we became closer and closer friends, and when she started Arunima, we really got very deeply involved in each other's work, and it's continued since then. It's one of the bravest initiatives that I could imagine. It's the thing that every family thinks about all the time, and most families don't come up with a solution. I find most organizations are willing to do the short-term stuff, the stuff that ends at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, but nobody wants to take on the lifetime responsibility of an individual adult with autism or with any kind of a disability. So the idea of providing a permanent home for people with autism is staggering to me. I'm incredibly impressed, and it's not just a home, but a beautiful home, a home that anybody would want to live in. I mean, I would love to live at Arunima. It's just amazing.
Aparna had put out a notice on emails through the network at Woodstock School saying that there was a kid in her school among her autistic students who was showing some interest in percussion or drumming and doing some drumming with his hands and something. And was there anybody who could encourage this or help this in some way? I'm a percussionist and drummer, and that's my professional background, so that was what I responded to. I have an interest in music and mental health and music therapy to some extent. I've done a little bit of research into that, although I'm not a therapist. I can't claim to be doing professional music therapy interventions or anything like that. So I just came to, in response to that, really, to see whether there was anything that I could do to encourage that propensity in him, and see whether there was any communication that we could establish. Amog said hello to me this morning. It was the first time he's actually done that. So that kind of acknowledgement is a step. So, and each time there's some kind of story to what's going on. And so it's quite interesting. I mean, I don't think one really expects results as such, you know. You're sort of declaring a faith in communication, isn't it?
We have now got a big family, and a family made up of individual interesting members, and we see each one of them growing in a different way every day. And our mission, I'd say, has evolved, and now our mission has become to nurture each of these amazing individuals that we've got.
So let's see how a typical day in Arunima looks like. Visuals all over the house encourage them to be more independent and less reliant on the verbal prompts, for the idea is to make them self-reliant. This daily ritual takes all of 2.5 hours each day, for the simple reason that the students are encouraged to manage their activities on their own. All the instructions are delivered in such a way that they are clear, sufficient, and not overwhelming for the residents.
आज का डे है मंडे और डेट है 23, मंथ है सितंबर और वेदर है सनी। आप सब लोग योगा मैट निकालेंगे और योगा करेंगे।
Once in the classroom, the students enter approximately 4 hours of structured activities, which include social skills training, functional education, vocational training, speech and language development, and domestic skills training.
we are so excited by everything that they do. We see them learning every day. We see them, they teach us so much every day. We celebrate every little achievement that they make. That's the kind of fun that we have at our center. We laugh at a lot of things. We're pretty much partying. I think I think we party a lot at the center.
Soft sounds are like loud, disturbing noises. Touches are like thorns. Sunlight teases me in different forms. I run and walk on my toes. I mumble and fumble with my words, but can't express my woes.
One of the things that makes Arunima unique is probably the knowledge that each minute we spend with our students is going to impact their future. We don't get to spend a few hours with them and then send them home. We actually spend 10 months of the year with them. We play a huge role in their lives. And the two most important things for us are A, to teach them self-help skills, and B, to give them a mode of communication. We treat our residents as individuals with their own personalities, their likes and dislikes, their strengths, their uniqueness. And yes, autism is only a small part of it. Above all, we have loads of fun.
मैं बचपन में नेपाल में रहती थी और मैं वहाँ से पापा से मैं अपनी फैमिली को वहाँ छोड़ के आई थी। फिर मैं दिल्ली में आई, फिर एक उदयन केयर होम है, वहाँ पर सब बच्चे रहते, मैं वहाँ पर रहती थी और वहाँ पर मैं स्कूल में पढ़ती थी। और यहाँ पर आके मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा काम करके और सबकी मदद करना अच्छा लगता है मुझे।
क्या क्या काम करते हो आप यहाँ पे?
यहाँ पर पढ़ाई करना अच्छा लगता है मुझे।
क्या पढ़ाती है वो उमा मैम आपको?
उमा मैम मुझे इंग्लिश, हिंदी, मैथ्स ये सिखाती है।
आप बुक्स पढ़ते हो, किताब पढ़ते हो?
यस।
कौन सी किताब अच्छी लगती है?
मुझे इंग्लिश अच्छी लगती है।
अच्छा, आप बताओगे घर छोड़ के क्यों आ गए?
पापा से बहुत डर लगता था मुझे। पापा मुझे जान से मारना चाहता था, इसलिए मैं छोड़ गई।
अब यहाँ पे खुश हो?
मैं हाँ खुश हूँ, मैं दिल्ली में भी बहुत खुश हूँ।
अपर्णा मैम के बारे में कुछ बताओगे?
अपर्णा मैम बहुत अच्छी है, वो सबकी इतनी हेल्प करती हैं, वो मेरी भी इतनी ज़्यादा हेल्प करती हैं काम में। मेरी तबीयत ख़राब हो जाता है तब मेरी वो मदद वही हेल्प करती हैं।
आपके यहाँ पे दोस्ती हो गई है सबसे?
यस मैम, सबकी दोस्ती होगी।
नेहा तुम्हारी बेस्ट फ्रेंड है?
मैम सब मेरे लिए सभी बेस्ट फ्रेंड हैं।
हाय
It actually doesn't take much to involve others to know more about these very special people. All you have to do is tug a little at their heartstrings and you'll find many doors opening for them.
अब आप लोगों ने जितनी मेहनत की ना इन लोगों के पीछे, जब आए यहाँ पर तो कुछ करे ना, बोल निकलती थी ना कुछ। अब मेहनत की वजह से इतना हो पाया।
आपसे रोज आते मिलने? आपको सबके नाम पता है?
हाँ, अगर उनको प्रसाद मिलने में लेट हुआ तो वो नाराज हो जाएंगे। उनको तब डबल प्रसाद देना पड़ेगा। रिश्वत के साथ कमीशन भी लगता है नहीं?
This is Arunima, a labor of love, where each individual is treated in a special way, celebrating their uniqueness and not trying to make them fit in the name of mainstreaming them. Like the glow of the dawn that starts with a few rays and eventually spreads and brings energy both near and far. We hope to take these services to as many families as possible. It is exciting and a privilege to be part of a new dawn for people who are just differently abled.
Who says we as parents of children with special needs do not have any hope? We can choose to sulk and ask why me, or move ahead and pave ways and explore roads lesser traveled. As a mother of such a child, it is very difficult to let go. But I know if I cling on to him, I will be stifling his growth. So I'm going back with a bunch of mixed feelings, happy, sad, for leaving my precious child in someone else's care. But I know that at Arunima, he has finally found his rhythm, that he is being nurtured to bloom, that one day he too will spread the fragrance of his being and will be able to tell the world that I too am here, I too am here.
Do not fret or feel sad for me.